Ariana Debose joining us right now. Good morning. How are you doing?
Good morning, and thank you. That's so nice.
Of course. You
So
look
true.
fantastic. So we have the Tonys coming up.
Yes.
You performed at the Tonys before.
I did back in 2018. I was a Tony nominee then. I also lost that evening.
That's okay, though. That's okay. Things have changed since then. Speaking of one of those changes, you'll be hosting the Tonys this year. How do you feel?
You know, to quote the late, great Stephen Sondheim, I am excited and scared. But that's the beauty of live theater, you know? The Tonys are the theater community's biggest night where we celebrate all the greatest work of the season. And this year it's really special because we're celebrating the entire community. We are returning to Radio City for the first time since the pandemic, and we are live coast to coast. So it feels like we're coming back bigger and better, and I'm excited to celebrate our entire community, not just the headliners, you know?
That was the most interesting thing to me, is this idea this year on Broadway, for people who went, understudies.
Yes.
Played such a huge role because with COVID restrictions, people were just going and it was last minute. You've been an understudy.
Yeah.
Is there a way to pay tribute to them at the Tonys this year then?
Trust me. I promise you this, I have many things up my sleeve.
Oh!
I do. I have many things up my sleeve. And it's from a real, genuine place because the reality is those are the folks who have kept Broadway alive. And it's not just swings and understudies. It's also dance captains, associates, stage managers, everyone in the pit. There have been several accounts of musicians who have had to call out last minute, and somebody who's literally down the street shows up with their instrument and just plays a score they've never seen before, helping us to save the show and keep the show going. And so those are the folks that we're focused on shining very genuine, bright light on because the show must go on.
That's right.
We can't do it without every single person.
I am neither an award-winning or award-losing TV person.
Your name is Tony.
I've never been nominated for anything, as far as I know.
But you are a Tony.
But for all the people who are going to be there in the audience who have been nominated at the Tony Awards, it's got to be a weird psychological space because you got to be ready to celebrate, but also ready to be kind of let down. Like, what advice do you have for them?
Smile. And you know what? Here's the thing. I think the Tonys, like having had the privilege of participating in a few award shows this past season, I love the Tonys. There's a different energy to it. And it's one of the most friendly, warm, energetic rooms. And at the end of the day, it's still about community, you know? It takes so much effort to get to this moment. And so for me, being in the room, that's the win.
The room where it happened.
You beat me to it.
I got you. I feel you.
You mentioned the word moment, and you had a moment when you accepted your Oscar. And in that speech, you said, to anybody who has ever questioned your identity or find yourself living in the gray spaces, I promise you this, there is indeed a place for us. Yes. How far have we come when it comes to representation, not just on stage, in Broadway, but in Hollywood in general?
You know, if I'm honest, like for me, from where I sit, we've taken many steps forward. That doesn't mean there's not still work to be done.
Amen to that.
You know, and I think one of the beautiful things about my journey is I now have a seat at the table, and I take it as my personal responsibility to try and create more seats and shine light where I can. Now, that doesn't mean I can solve all the world's problems, but what I can do is continue to ask questions and bring the folks along who I know can tell the story better than me.
Can you not?
Yeah.
I was going to say, can you not solve the world's problems? You're on a big list. Time 100, most influential people, all the problem solvers.
No, I'm going to be honest with you, Tony. That was crazy. Like, I did not see that one coming. I really didn't. I'm truly honored to be on the list. And it is a very powerful, influential, formidable group of people. And I think when we all use our powers for good, that we can create meaningful change. But I can tell you something. It's the powers for good part that I'm interested in.
That's right.
So, you know, I'm looking forward to celebrating at tonight's gala, and, you know, maybe I'll ask some questions there.
Yeah.
It's, you know, thinking back to that, thinking back to your Oscar, nominated for Tonys, all of this, in the last couple of years, how have things changed for you? I mean, have you been able to reflect on where you are now? You can host the Tonys on Sunday. I mean, if you had reflection on some of that.
I have. I'm someone who life has changed considerably in a short amount of time. You know, a lot can happen in a year, a lot can happen in 2 years. But I really did go from being a name that people only recognized if you'd seen me on Broadway to you know, you recognize Ariana Debose a little more now, you know.
Yeah.
I don't consider myself famous, though. I really don't. I'm still an artist just trying to make a difference in her community. But I can tell you this, I am grateful that when I do speak up, when I do decide to use my voice, 9 times out of 10 now, when I am in the room, I'm grateful that people listen.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm like, your voice has power. Please use it in whatever way that you can. But also invite people to the table, to the conversation with you.
Yes.
You know, we talk about change and wanting meaningful change, but we can't make it happen if we don't make space for all of us. And the difference of opinion. I think discord is good, but we have to also find the balance and the compromise.
Of course.
Let me get off my soapbox.
You are going to be
Morning.
I appreciate you, and we are hearing every word. You are at a great place in life, and you are maneuvering through this space with amazing grace.
You may not think you're famous, but the people who stop you at the grocery store, they think you're famous.
That's for sure. Ariana Debose, you are the best. Thank you so much. You can see the 75th Annual Tony Awards this Sunday night at 8 Eastern right here on CBS and streaming live, of course, on Paramount+.